Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, mostly because I enjoy talking to young people who still believe the world makes sense. You'll find out soon enough that it doesn't, but if you think clearly, you can still do pretty well in it. Now, I don't have a secret formula for success. I never did. What I do have is a set of habits built over many decades that seem to work. And one of the most important is this: take a simple idea and take it seriously. That phrase sounds almost too obvious, doesn't it? But it's one of the hardest things to do in modern life, especially for smart people. You see, intelligent people have a natural bias toward complexity. They think that if something is simple, it can't possibly be profound. So they chase elaborate models, new theories, fancy jargon, and end up confusing motion with progress. Meanwhile, the people who quietly stick to simple ideas, honesty, patience, discipline, rationality, they're the ones who build real wealth and happiness over time. Look at the most successful ideas in business. They're almost embarrassingly simple. I built on a few principles a child could understand. By good businesses, don't overpay, be patient. Avoid stupidity, that's it. No calculus, no secret code, no advanced physics. But people don't like hearing that. They want complexity because complexity sells. Complexity makes consultants rich, professors relevant, and media channels busy. Simplicity, on the other hand, demands humility. It requires you to admit that you don't need to reinvent the universe. You just need to understand it clearly. Now, business school students, and I say this with affection, are often too smart for their own good. You've been trained to analyze, optimize, and model everything down to 3 decimal points. That's fine if you're designing a bridge. But when you deal with human behavior, which is what investing, management, and life are all about, precision gives you an illusion of control, not the reality of it today. As I often say, it's better to be roughly right than precisely wrong. The simple ideas: save more than you spend, avoid envy, be reliable, stay within your circle of competence. Those ideas look dull on paper, but they work in the messy world of real people. When I was young, I thought complexity equaled sophistication. I wanted to impress people. Then I lost money, and ego tends to evaporate when your net worth does. Warren and I learned early on that our best decisions came from sticking to plain logic. For instance, when we bought C's candies, it wasn't because we ran a complicated spreadsheet. We just understood that people in California would keep buying those chocolates at Christmas, no matter what happened to the economy. Simple, predictable, durable. Once we understood that, the numbers took care of themselves. And when we didn't understand something, like most of the tech industry for many years, we simply stayed away. No shame in that. As Warren likes to say, we don't have to swing at every pitch. That's the power of simplicity. It protects you from stupidity. Now, notice I didn't just say, take a simple idea. I said, take it seriously. That's where most people fail. That it's easy to say, I'll be patient. It's harder to actually sit still for 10 years while everyone else seems to be getting rich overnight. It's easy to say, I'll invest rationally. It's harder to stay calm when your stocks drop 40% and CNBC is screaming panic. To take a simple idea seriously, you have to live by it even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. And that's what separates the thinkers from the doers. Take the simple idea of compounding. Everyone here knows it. You've seen the formula. You've even quoted Einstein calling it the eighth wonder of the world. But almost no one lives by it. Why? Because compounding demands patience and consistency, 2 things human beings are terrible at. You can't see compounding working day by day. It's invisible, like watching grass grow. But then, one day, it explodes, And people call you lucky that if you truly understand compounding and take it seriously, you'll save early, reinvest profits, avoid unnecessary taxes, and stay the course through market cycles. That one simple idea could make you financially independent, but most people can't do it because they get bored. They'd rather chase the next big idea than stick with the right simple one. In investing, simplicity is not naivety, it's clarity. When we look at a company, we ask very simple questions. How does it make money? Will people still want this product in 10 years? Can competitors easily destroy it? Are the managers honest and competent? If the answers make sense, we buy. If not, we don't. You can build $1 billion portfolio on questions that fit on one napkin, but most investors don't do that. They'd rather create 200 slide PowerPoints filled with acronyms and discounted cash flows calculated to the 10th decimal, and then lose money anyway. Remember, the goal is not to sound smart. The goal is to be smart. The hardest part of simplicity is ego. People want to look sophisticated. They want to impress their peers, their clients, their professors. So they reject simple ideas because they seem too obvious. But truth is often obvious. It's just ignored as I like to say. To get what you want, you have to deserve what you want. And you deserve it by mastering the fundamentals, not by chasing complexity that I've seen too many bright people trip over their own cleverness. They turn a clear idea into an academic puzzle, and by the time they're done, they can't see the forest for the trees. Smart people drown in details. Wise people swim in simplicity. There's a strange paradox in life. The simpler the rule, the harder it is to follow. Eat less than you burn. Spend less than you earn. Be honest. Read every day. Each of these could make your life exponentially better, but most people can't do them consistently. Why? Because simple ideas require discipline, not genius, and discipline doesn't come naturally. It has to be built. You have to fight your impulses, your ego, your impatience. That's what taking an idea seriously means. Let me tell you something counterintuitive. The simpler you're thinking, the freer you are. When your principles are clear, decisions become easy. When your ideas are complex, decisions become paralyzing. Warren and I never needed to check stock prices daily. We knew what we owned and why. We had clarity, and that gave us peace of mind. Simplicity is not restriction, it's liberation from noise. In a world addicted to novelty, it takes courage to stay simple. Everyone around you will say, "You're missing out." And sometimes, yes, you will miss out on nonsense. The discipline to say no to what you don't understand, the humility to stick with what works, the patience to let it compound. That's real courage. Complexity is easy. Simplicity is hard. So how do you find a simple idea worth dedicating your life to? You look for something true, not fashionable, not exciting, true. For us, that was value investing. For someone else, it might be education, technology, medicine, or building communities. The domain doesn't matter. The clarity does. When you find an idea that passes every test of logic, history, and common sense, hold it tight. Refine it, practice it, and build your life around it. If you're right about a simple idea, it can carry you through a lifetime. We didn't try to invent new rules that we applied old ones better that we didn't speculate. We didn't predict interest rates. We didn't chase trends that we just looked for great businesses at fair prices, run by honest people, and let time do its work. That's the same philosophy that built the railroads, the oil industry, and even great universities. That it's all simple ideas, executed with seriousness and integrity. Now, if simple ideas are so powerful, why don't more people follow them? Because they're boring. And in an age of constant stimulation, Boredom feels unbearable. People crave excitement, and simplicity doesn't give them that dopamine hit. But business and investing are not meant to be exciting that if you want excitement. Go to Las Vegas that if you want success. Learn to love boredom. Your biggest challenge won't be finding good ideas. It'll be ignoring bad ones. The world is full of people trying to sell you complexity, new metrics, new paradigms, new revolutions. But underneath, human nature hasn't changed in thousands of years. Greed, fear, envy, pride. Those are still the same forces that drive markets and businesses today. The key to modern intelligence is ancient wisdom. Think rationally. Avoid self-deception. Focus on what doesn't change. When you're lost, simple principles guide you home. For example, always act with integrity. Avoid debt you can't repay. Partner with people you trust. Never buy something you don't understand. That if you follow those 4 rules, you can navigate through almost any storm. That's what taking a simple idea seriously means. That it's not a slogan. It's a philosophy for living and investing. Let's start with the domain I know best, investing. People think investing is about predicting the future. It isn't. It's about understanding the present clearly enough that the future doesn't have to surprise you too much. When Warren and I buy a company, we look for businesses so simple that even we can understand them. If it requires a 200-page technical appendix to explain what it does, we're out. That we like businesses that could be run by a reasonably intelligent person with common sense. Because one day, they probably will be. Simplicity in investing means clarity about the key variables. How does the business make money? What could kill it? Does it have an enduring advantage? Can I trust the people running it? If you can answer those questions, you're ahead of 95% of Wall Street. Now, I know some of you love spreadsheets. I do too, in moderation. But remember, the spreadsheet is not reality. Reality lives in the factory, the store, the customer's mind. Numbers are only as good as the understanding behind them. That I've seen analysts create complex models predicting the next 30 years of cash flow for a company whose product no one even likes. That's not analysis. That's hallucination in Excel. The simplest numbers, well understood, are better than complicated nonsense perfectly calculated. Everyone in finance wants to find what's new. But you get rich by understanding what doesn't change. People will always prefer good products at fair prices. They will always reward honesty and reliability. They will always overreact in markets. You don't need a new model of human nature every decade. You need to understand the old one and apply it patiently. That's why we love businesses like Coca-Cola or See's Candies. They serve basic human desires: taste, habit, comfort. That no algorithm or innovation can replace that. If you ever run a company, remember this. Strategy is not a PowerPoint deck. That it's a small set of decisions repeated with discipline. Take Costco. Their idea is absurdly simple. Sell quality goods at the lowest possible price, build customer loyalty, and treat employees well. They've stuck to that simple formula for decades, through recessions and booms. And it's made them billions. Contrast that with the corporations that chase every trend, every new management fad. They end up with confusion, bureaucracy, and declining profits. The difference? Costco took a simple idea and took it seriously. One of the hardest things in business and life is saying no. Every day, opportunities will come your way. Some will sound brilliant. Some will flatter your ego, but most will distract you from your main idea. We probably reject 99% of the opportunities we see, not because they're bad, but because they're not aligned with our simple framework. Focus is the ultimate form of intelligence. You can't take a simple idea seriously if you're chasing 20 others at the same time. One of the simplest and most profitable ideas in business is trust that if you treat your partners, employees, and shareholders fairly, they'll stay with you, that you'll save millions on contracts, lawyers, and turnover. Yet, people still underestimate this. They think cleverness beats character. But, in the long run, character beats cleverness every time. Trust is built slowly and destroyed instantly. So, take the simple idea of honesty seriously. It pays compound interest, just like capital does. Whenever you're about to make a major decision, ask yourself, would I be proud to explain this choice publicly? If the answer is no, don't do it. That's a simple idea, but it can save you from disasters that spreadsheets can't predict. I call it the mirror test. Because at the end of each day, you have to look in the mirror and like the person you see. Against emotion, simplicity protects you from your own psychology. When you have a clear framework, say, I only buy businesses I understand. It prevents you from getting swept up in excitement. You can watch the market crash, listen to the noise, and simply say, my rules haven't changed, and my understanding is intact. That kind of calmness is a superpower. In crises, simple thinkers survive because they know what they stand on. Complex thinkers panic because their web of ideas collapses under stress. Everyone here is being told to be well-rounded. That's fine, but don't confuse being well-rounded with being shallow. It's better to know one or two things deeply and live by them than to skim the surface of 100 topics. The best investors aren't encyclopedias. They're specialists in human behavior and value. Charlie Munger's idea of worldly wisdom doesn't mean knowing everything. It means connecting what matters across disciplines. You can't do that without simplicity at the core. In a world addicted to novelty, it takes courage to stay simple. Everyone around you will say, you're missing out. And sometimes, yes, you will miss out on nonsense. The discipline to say no to what you don't understand, the humility to stick with what works, the patience to let it compound. That's real courage. Complexity is easy. Simplicity is hard. So how do you find a simple idea worth dedicating your life to? You look for something true, not fashionable, not exciting, true. For us, that was value investing. For someone else, it might be education, technology, medicine, or building communities. The domain doesn't matter. The clarity does. When you find an idea that passes every test of logic, history, and common sense, hold it tight. Refine it, practice it, and build your life around it. If you're right about a simple idea, it can carry you through a lifetime. We didn't try to invent new rules that we applied old ones better that we didn't speculate. We didn't predict interest rates. We didn't chase trends that we just looked for great businesses at fair prices, run by honest people, and let time do its work. That's the same philosophy that built the railroads, the oil industry, and even great universities. That it's all simple ideas, executed with seriousness and integrity. Rare now, if simple ideas are so powerful, why don't more people follow them? Because they're boring. And in an age of constant stimulation, boredom feels unbearable. People crave excitement, and simplicity doesn't give them that dopamine hit. But business and investing are not meant to be exciting. That if you want excitement, go to Las Vegas. That if you want success, learn to love boredom. Your biggest challenge won't be finding good ideas. It'll be ignoring bad ones. The world is full of people trying to sell you complexity, new metrics, new paradigms, new revolutions. But underneath, human nature hasn't changed in thousands of years. Greed, fear, envy, pride. Those are still the same forces that drive markets and businesses today. The key to modern intelligence is ancient wisdom. Think rationally. Avoid self-deception. Focus on what doesn't change. Compass 15. Simplicity as a compass when you're lost. Simple principles guide you home. For example, always act with integrity. Avoid debt you can't repay. Partner with people you trust. Never buy something you don't understand. That if you follow those 4 rules, you can navigate through almost any storm. That's what taking a simple idea seriously means. That it's not a slogan. It's a philosophy for living and investing. By now, you've heard me talk about business, investing, psychology, but the real message goes deeper. Simplicity isn't just a method, it's a worldview. When you choose to keep things simple, you're making a statement about what matters. That you're saying, I value clarity over showmanship, truth over appearance, long-term sanity over short-term excitement. Most people spend their lives complicating things so they can look clever. The wise few simplify so they can be effective. Every great outcome in life is the result of small disciplines repeated for decades. That it's not genius, it's consistency. Take one simple habit: reading 2 hours a day, exercising, saving a fixed percentage of your income, and keep at it for 40 years. That you'll have built a fortress of knowledge, health, and independence, while others chase novelty after novelty. It's almost unfair how much life rewards quiet persistence. You can't live a simple life without good character. Why? Because honesty and humility make simplicity possible. Dishonest people need complexity to hide behind. Arrogant people need complexity to prove they're smarter. But the person who tells the truth can afford to be simple. Integrity, in that sense, is an operating system for simplicity. It keeps your life free of unnecessary moving parts and of unnecessary guilt. People think wealth comes from cleverness, but most fortunes come from a few clear principles lived stubbornly. Spend less than you earn. Invest in things you understand. Avoid debt. Work with people you trust. Let time do its work. That's not flashy advice. It's permanent advice. When you master it, you realize that money is just a byproduct of rational behavior. The world will always be noisy. Markets, media, social networks, everyone shouting predictions. Understanding, on the other hand, whispers that if you want to take a simple idea seriously, you have to cultivate quiet, read more than you talk, observe more than you post, decide more slowly than people expect. Independent thinking doesn't require rebellion. It requires patience. A clear, simple framework cleans your mental windshield. When you stop cluttering it with trivia and trends, you start seeing reality. You notice cause and effect. You stop reacting emotionally to every blip in the market or in your career. You start asking, what truly matters here? That one question, asked often enough, can turn confusion into insight. Another gift of simplicity is contentment. When you understand what you really need, you stop chasing what you don't. Warren and I never needed yachts or private islands. That we just wanted independence, the ability to say no when something didn't make sense. Simplicity makes that possible because it keeps your desires manageable. Freedom isn't having everything, it's needing less. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't fail for lack of knowledge. They fail for lack of discipline. They know what they should do: save, read, think, be patient, but they don't. They get distracted by greed, envy, fear, or boredom. That it's not that simple ideas don't work. It's that people don't work the simple ideas. Complexity flatters the ego. It makes you feel like you're part of an elite club that gets it. But every financial crisis, every corporate scandal, every personal meltdown begins the same way. Someone convinced themselves that complexity made them safe. Then reality arrived with a hammer. If you can't explain your plan to an intelligent high schooler, you probably don't understand it yourself. That we buy dull businesses that produce reliable cash flow, that we hold them forever, that we read reports, that we wait, that it's boring. But boredom is underrated. The world is full of clever people chasing adrenaline. The patient few, quietly compounding, end up owning the place. Even with simple rules, you'll mess up, that I have plenty of times. The goal isn't perfection, it's improvement. When you fail, ask why in plain language. Don't invent fancy excuses. Find the stupid mistake and vow not to repeat it. Simplicity makes learning possible because it strips away self-deception. Take a simple idea seriously in how you choose the people around you. If you associate with the dishonest or the lazy, you'll pick up their habits. That if you associate with the curious and the ethical, you'll rise. Culture compounds. Pick one that reinforces simplicity, honesty, and long-term thinking. If you ever lead a company, remember this. Your job is to make things simple for others. Complex leaders build empires of confusion. Great leaders clarify purpose and remove friction. Explain your strategy so simply that everyone from the janitor to the board understands it. That if you can do that, you've already built a strong organization. The day you think you're too smart for simple principles, you're finished. Markets will remind you how small you are. Humility is the maintenance cost of wisdom. It keeps you teachable, adaptable, alive. That I still learn new things every day, often by realizing how little I truly know. If you win by cheating, you haven't really won. A clear conscience is worth more than a big bank account. That it's another simple idea, and it's one too many people forget. They chase money so hard they lose the ability to enjoy it. The happiest people I know built their wealth honorably. That makes sleep easier and mornings brighter. Simplicity doesn't mean rigidity. It means clarity about fundamentals so you can adapt the rest. Think of it like architecture, a strong foundation with flexible walls. The principles stay the same. The execution evolves. The best investors and leaders hold timeless ideas but update their methods when facts change. Not everyone's simple idea is the same. For some, it's value investing. For others, it's innovation, teaching, craftsmanship. What matters is that it's true, that it fits your temperament, and that you pursue it with integrity. The world doesn't reward imitation. It rewards authenticity backed by discipline. If you forget everything else I've said, remember this. Think long term. That's the ultimate simple idea. Whether you're compounding money, building a career, or raising a family, time is the multiplier. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 20. If you play the long game with clear principles, life becomes astonishingly generous. Business school should not fill your head with formulas. It should teach you how to think rationally, independently, simply. If you leave here with the habit of asking, does this make sense? You've already earned your degree in worldly wisdom. And if you add, is this honest? You've earned a degree in decency too. When you leave this room, the world will tempt you with shortcuts, trends, and noise. Resist them. Find one or two ideas you know are true. Build your life around them. Be patient when others rush. Be calm when others panic. Be simple when others complicate. And above all, be the kind of person your future self will thank. If you do that, if you take one simple idea and take it seriously, you'll look back decades from now and realize you didn't just succeed in business. You succeeded in life. Thank you.